Hey guys, ReadyTay here with another Halloween special Pokemon challenge. Just like the last one, we are sticking with a ghost type because they're spooky, but this time we're going to be a pure ghost type. On this All Hallows Eve, we're going to see if we can beat Pokemon Ruby with just a Duskull. So, like I said, Duskull is a pure ghost type, so unlike the Ghastly challenge we did last Halloween, we don't have to worry about Psychics anymore due to being part poison. We only have to worry about Ghost and Dark types, and now we have the upper hand against Psychics. Being Ghost type also means we still have our normal and fighting immunities, along with resisting poison and bug types, for whatever that's worth. So this typing feels really advantageous, which is good considering our stats are not. I mean, we're basically a little south of a first form starter base stats, which means we're not that strong to be honest. The good thing is we're looking good defensively, which is what I prefer in this kind of situation, but it really sucks that our attack stats are this low though. And remember that in this generation, ghost type attacks are physical, not special, which just doesn't really make any sense. Speaking of attacks, we start off with Leer and Nightshade, which means we do have an attacking move right out of the gate, but this one's a blessing and a curse. Speaking of curse, we might actually use that move. To be honest, I'm not really liking this moveset at all. We're not really going to be hitting hard at all with these moves and our attack stats. Thankfully, the TM list has some diamonds in the rough. Ice Beam and Blizzard are some nice unexpected additions. Psychic and Shadow Ball are going to be necessities for sure, I feel like. But let's get going though, so we can play this game and enjoy some candy. But first, the rules. I can only use Duskull to beat this challenge. I can use other Pokemon for HMs to progress however. No cheats, glitches, or hacks to advance, and I'm going to continue the trend of not using any items in battle, only items given to Duskull before the battle starts. Let's begin. So we have to start the challenge by getting our spooky starter. I used the Pokemon Randomizer to replace Torchic with Duskull, so our rival will have Mudkip. I couldn't really think of which Pokemon to give them, but I felt like Mudkip's line would put up more of a challenge defensively. Poochyena might have the advantage against Duskull, but it doesn't have a dark move to use here, and Nightshade is set damage, so this battle is really easy. From there we head back to lab and then start our journey. I nicknamed our Duskull Torchwood because they might know a thing or two about ghosts. I forgot that Duskull's ability is Levitate, which means we're effectively immune to ground attacks along with normal and fighting moves. I'll take that for sure. Our personality is Adamant, which means we have increased attack and decreased special attack. I'd probably benefit more if we had a nature that sacrificed one of our defense stats a little to improve our attack, but at least we have an improved physical attack stat over our special attack. We have Leer, Nightshade, and Disable for the start, and this is going to cause a few problems soon, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But first, we have to battle our rival for the first time. Not much to talk about here though, since we just have Nightshade as an attacking move, so we just spam that move. This is an interesting move to start the game with, since it always does a set amount of damage equal to the user's level. So we're doing 5 damage each turn, which is useful in the early game, but we can't really get a critical hit or have a type advantage with this move. And as the game advances, this move will eventually get outpaced due to our opponent's Pokemon having better health. But for now, this is all we have to attack with. Which does bring up another problem I was alluding to a minute ago. Only having a ghost attacking move means we do not have a way to deal damage to normal types. It was a little harder to catch all of the Zigzagoons I catch at the beginning of these Generation 3 challenges. Their pickup ability is really useful in these runs. But what really sucks right now is the fact that we have some battles here we need to avoid since they have normal types. If we got stuck in one of these battles, we have no choice but to struggle to get the win, which means we need to use up all of our moves to actually deal damage, which is very time consuming considering we have to burn through 65 turns max to complete all the power points for all of our moves. The good news is our opponent can't do anything to us while we're wasting moves since they only have normal moves, and we usually get to the point where we can use struggle before they can. We do take damage for each turn we use struggle, but we still get the win in the end. But I don't want to do this for every normal centered battle, so if I can, I skip all the battles that have a normal type. Which means by the time we get to Rustboro City to face Roxanne, we're not as high of a level as I would want to be. Regardless, we give this battle at the first gym a go. We do pretty well against Geodude. For some reason it never attacks us. It just likes to spam moves like Defense Curl, probably because the AI thinks we're going to use a ghost move, and since that would be a physical attack, it's trying to protect itself from it. But again, we only have Nightshade, and like I said, it always deals the same amount of damage, so Roxanne is wasting her turns here. She also wastes her time by healing up with potions a couple of times. This could be potentially problematic considering we only have 15 power points for Nightshade, and we still have Nosepass to deal with after Geodude. Which does happen since Roxanne eventually just lets Geodude faint. We are sticking with Nightshade of course to take Nosepass out. But this time Roxanne is actually going on the offensive with Rock Throw. It's dealing about 8 damage, so we are ahead when it comes to damage output. But just for some extra insurance, I decide to disable Rock Throw, and our move misses. Thanks to that, being slower than Nosepass and our Nightshade falling just short of a knockout, we go down. Okay, the moral of the story here is we just need to spam Nightshade for the whole battle and just not let up. Well, I thought that would lead to the win in the next battle, but it doesn't, and we go through multiple battles, losing every time. Sometimes it was because Nosepass's Rock Throw landed as a critical hit, other times it was because Geodude actually hit us with a Rock Throw, so we were beaten up some by the time Nosepass comes out. And the fact that we were slower than Nosepass, and Nightshade always brought Nosepass to just a sliver instead of a knockout, meant that we should grind if we really want to win this battle. After battling some of the trainers to the northeast of Rustboro, we revisit Roxanne at level 14. Nightshade is only going to deal 2 extra damage, but maybe that's all we need to come out on top. Well, we did lose some attempts, but things are looking up. Part of the problem at this level is Geodude is focused more on attacking instead of defense buffing. Roxanne is still using potions during this exchange as well, which is still annoying. On the attempt where we got the win, we were able to take Geodude out without taking any damage. I guess in this attempt Roxanne decided that defense curl spamming was still the way to go. But instead, we're still in this fight at full health and ready to see how we fare against Nosepass. It starts the battle with Harden, which of course won't do a thing to slow us down. Rock Throw still does about 8 damage, so this grinding might not be enough. But Nightshade is a bit stronger, and Nosepass has a Rock Throw that misses. So we are able to use a Nightshade that is strong enough to bring Nosepass down, meanwhile we are still standing in green health for once. Finally, we can move on. I mean, that wasn't the toughest challenge we've had beating Roxanne, but we are so limited right now on how we can deal damage, and I feel like I'm already feeling the pinch when it comes to our speed and attack stats. Fortunately, we are facing Brawly next, and since he is the fighting gym leader, I think this will be an easy win. We are at level 16 by the time we get to this battle. Nightshade might not be our only attacking move anymore, but it still hits way more than Astonish, so we're sticking with this move. Machop lowers our defense with Leer because it doesn't have an attacking move it can use against us. Also, if we thought Roxanne using potions was annoying, Brawly using super potions might be a little worse. Regardless, we stick with Nightshade and eventually take care of Machop, sticking with the same plan with Makihita now that it's out. This guy though can actually land a move on us due to knockoff being a dark move. It's not really a strong one, but still, we are taking damage now. To add insult to injury, we do miss a Nightshade due to Makihita using Insane Attack earlier in the battle. But we are still doing a good job staying ahead and damage output, and before long we knock out Makihita and get the second badge of the game. Okay, we finally seem to be getting some momentum. Now, moving on to Slateport and Mauville deals with more battles against Team Magma and our rival, and Watson usually throws a wrench in us making any speedy progress, but maybe this won't be the case in this challenge? Well, Team Magma were easy to beat, so I'm not even going to talk about them, but our rival is a much different story. The first loss was partly due to Shroomish sticking a Leech Seed on us. We knock it out, but we are healing up our rival's team for the remainder of the battle, and we cannot keep up with that. Also, I feel like once again, Nightshade is falling just a little short of taking out our opponents. If it was just a little bit stronger, I feel like we'd be bringing down our opponents in one less turn, and that would mean one less turn of Leech Seed, draining our health. Numel finishes us on the first attempt. On the second attempt, we actually get lucky by evading Leech Seed. Shroomish goes down, and we aren't healing our opponent from here on out. This makes a difference when it comes to fighting Numel, which we take out in 3 turns. Still, being in the green when Marshtomp comes out gives me false hope though, as we soon fall into the yellow from his water gun. Nightshade is trying to catch up and dealing damage, but we are too far behind and we soon go down. I switch gears here and go back to grinding, and I'm still avoiding battles where our opponents have a normal type, which does still kind of limit our options. I'm going to be honest, when I started this challenge, I didn't expect this to have such a rough start. Only having Ghost attacking moves really limits who we can fight easily, and the set damage from Nightshade is already feeling like it is falling behind our opponent's HP. Another thing I've noticed in this challenge that I have never noticed in any of my other challenges is the number of times we can't run away in wild Pokemon battles. It feels like over half of the time that we come across a wild Pokemon and I want to run away, we are not allowed to escape. I have never seen this happen so much until I started this challenge. It's like all these wild Pokemon want to pick a fight on my Duskull. What did this guy ever do to you? I don't know if it was because I was doing this part of the challenge after some long days of work or because I just felt tired, but this challenge definitely had a frustrating start. And I was really surprised we are not farther than where we currently are. I know this isn't going to magically fix anything, but I know things will get better once we get some better moves. And I think finding some TMs will make a difference once we get them. One thing I did recently get though was a King's Rock, thanks to the pickup ability from one of our Zigzagoons. This is a great held item that gives us a small chance to cause flinching while we are attacking our opponent. I gave it to Torchwood as soon as I got it, but I did quickly realize there is a problem with using the King's Rock in this challenge. We are pretty slow in this game. The majority of our opponents outspeed us, and you can't cause flinching if your opponent hits you before you can hit them. So maybe this won't be that useful of an item after all. Regardless, we grind till we get Torchwood up to level 25 and then revisit the battle we have with our rival. We can still lose this battle at this level, but it's mainly due to getting paralyzed and stuck with Leech Seed. It's really hard to compete with all that while having to battle this team, but eventually we land a battle where King's Rock flinches Shroomish with our first Nightshade. So this is a great way to start this battle. All that grinding pays off here as well, since we are at a high enough level for Nightshade to bring Shroomish to half health. Because of all this, we easily take Shroomish out in the next turn, which means no paralysis and no Leech Seed. Numel is a similar story, as we also take it out with 2 Nightshades. This time though, we do take some damage from Ember. Marshtomp is still faster than us, but Water Gun doesn't do as much damage. Nightshade is hitting harder, and after spamming the same move for several turns, we stay ahead in damage output, and we finally get the win. Okay, took some time, a little bit of luck, but we can progress. I don't think we'll have an easy time against Watson, when do we ever, but let's battle him real quick and see how things really look. Well, it shouldn't come as a surprise that we are back to being the slower one in these battles. We do take Thundershock hits well, and Nightshade is still a strong move, but paralysis is very much a problem in this battle. But this is my first rodeo, and I did give Torchwood a Cherry Berry for just such an emergency. But that is only a one-off, and Voltorb easily paralyzed us with its second Spark, so we are in no shape to truly face Magneton. Okay, I'm not feeling too stubborn at this point of the game, so let's be realistic and get back to grinding. Which is pretty easy to do since there are a lot of trainers that want to battle on the 3 neighboring routes. Also, while I'm doing these battles and grinding against wild Pokemon, I got really lucky with our Zigzagoons giving us 3 proteins. I gave those to Torchwood right away. I know that our attack stat can only get so high, but I will take any boost we can get. We revisit our battle with Watson, again at level 31, and we are taking hits better. But at the end of the day, we are still taking hits, and by the time we get to Magneton, it can easily take us out with 2 shockwaves. Our speed is really hurting us here, but we would have to grind to a really high level for us to get to the point where we are faster than Magneton. I was really tired, and it was getting late, but I had in my head that I was going to beat Watson before I went to bed that night. So we pressed on and racked up a lot of losses at this level. Magnemite is still not that much of a threat with its weak Thundershock as long as it doesn't paralyze us. It also helps that it's following supersonic misses, so we take it out soon after with Nightshade, meaning we only got hit once by Magnemite before it went down. Voltorb is next, like always, still sticking with Nightshade of course, while we are also dealing with Spark. We repeat our moves on the next turn, but we are the only one left standing in the end. This attempt is going really well, considering this is the first time we are still in the green by the time Magneton comes out. Because of this, we are able to withstand 2 of Magneton's shockwaves. We might be barely hanging on with 2 health, but this is the first time we've survived that attack twice in a battle, and since we've been responding with Nightshade after each hit, we are set up to finally come out on top of this battle. Finally things went our way, and I can go to bed. On the next day, when I go back to playing, I focused on Team Magma and our rapidly approaching first battle with Maxie. I am actually a little terrified about this battle because of his Mightyena. It's Dark type, so it has the type advantage against us, and its Intimidate ability is going to make our already abysmal attack stat even more pitiful. Well, not to start sounding like a broken record, but we're actually taking these dark type attacks better than I thought. Still, we're taking hits and they are adding up. Also, I know not that long ago I was talking about how Nightshade was already losing some of its firepower, but it does have an advantage in these battles like this one. I always mention in these Generation 3 challenges when our opponents have the ability to intimidate, since it is important to note that our attack stat has gone down the stage in a battle. And this battle is no exception. Yes, Torchwood is also susceptible to intimidate, so we do have a weakened attack stat right out of the gate for this battle, but Nightshade is fixed damage based off our level, so it never loses its damage output. Even better, Nightshade is still able to bring Mightyena to yellow health after one hit. But besides that, we don't have much else to celebrate. There are multiple things going against us in this battle. I gave this battle many tries, and critical hits against us are somewhat common. Sand attack lowers our accuracy, making us miss our moves at the most inopportune times. Supersonic and confusion damage are rampant, and we're actually lucky if we get to see camera up. In one battle, we start with lowered attack and lowered accuracy right out of the gate, thanks to a wonderful Intimidate Sand attack combo. Nightshade still lands on the next 2 turns, so Mightyena is down, but not before it deals 22 damage from a bite. We're still in the green though, and now have to deal with Golbat. Its supersonic misses, and we're still fortunate enough that our Nightshade doesn't miss either. We're subjected to another bite, but Golbat goes down the same way as Mightyena after 2 Nightshades. So we finally have an attempt where we are face to face with Camerupt, and we are still in green health. We're faster than it, and get another Nightshade to land. Our Levitate ability prevents us from taking damage from Camerupt's magnitude, and we get a solid win after 1 more Nightshade. Finally, we had enough things go our way, and I wasn't in the mood to grind here, but considering how we keep losing, I was getting really close to not having another choice if I wanted to progress. I did actually have to grind when it came to battling Flannery. Yeah, I was surprised that we had to do it for this battle, and I was originally going to spin this part of the challenge as if I felt really confident that this would be one of the easier gym battles, but our bad luck continued in this series of battles as well. We suffered an unusually high number of critical hit flamethrowers from the Slugmas, and we got burns often too. Now, these things might not seem like they should give us instant losses, but being near half health while facing Torkoal meant that we basically lost, since that's still knockout range for overheat. I thought that as long as we stayed in green health by the time we faced Torkoal, that we'd be able to withstand an overheat and take Torkoal out in 2 turns, essentially giving us the win, but a couple of battles proved this theory wrong. One battle showed that even being in the lower portion of green health doesn't assure we can survive an overheat, and another battle finally gave us the opportunity to deal 2 Nightshades to Torkoal, and once the smoke cleared, it was still standing with what had to be 1 health. So we're grinding against wild Pokemon since we don't really have another choice. It also dawned on me during this session that we are faster than every Pokemon we are going up against in this area, so I went back to even Torchwood the King's Rock since we could really benefit from the occasional flinch. So when we get back to facing Flannery, we are at level 45. Nightshade is a little stronger, but we aren't dealing one-shots here. However, we have a better special defense now, and that is key. The first Slugma goes down without even hitting us, but it did set up Sunny Day, and that will be a problem later on. Well, actually, it might not be that big a deal. The second Slugma does hit us with a Sunny Day powered flamethrower, and we took that pretty well. Slugma goes down right after, so now we have to see how well we will take Torkoal's overheat with Sunny Day active. Okay, 8 health. Yeah, that grinding was definitely necessary for us to get the win, especially considering Nightshade is now strong enough to bring Torkoal down with 2 hits. Okay, so we are now halfway through the badge run, and honestly this has been a pretty difficult challenge if I do say so myself. I mean, the only gym leader that really hasn't given us any issues is Brawly. Badge number 5 is against our dad, and on paper this one looks like it's going to be the most interesting one. We are a ghost type going against a normal type gym leader. Sure, we can't use our go-to move Nightshade, but they can't even attack. Oh, well, I'm glad I checked this before I jumped into this battle. Well, we have a pretty sizable level lead, and we've been handling moves like Fan Attack well enough in past battles. Let's get this battle started and see how things really look. Well, for those of you that predicted we would lose, you would be right again. Slacking's Truant ability should be another thing that works in our favor, and it technically does, but we fall asleep from yawn, and that means we waste a lot of turns being asleep. Sure, Slacking isn't hitting us with Feint Attack every single turn, but when it does, it's dealing enough damage to make this battle scary. I do aim for burning Slacking with Will-O-Wisp, but we can at least have some damage adding up while we are asleep, but it's not much. Speaking of not much, our pursuit is just pitiful here. Shouldn't be a surprise since it's a pretty weak dark move. The good news is we get Slacking to red health first, but Norman uses a healing item which negates a lot of our progress. We get it back to low health, fall back asleep, burn damage brings Slacking to a longer nap, and then Vigoroth beats us up in our sleep. Okay, grinding might be necessary, but I also think it's time for us to give our moveset a little more thought. At first I was thinking about seeing if Hidden Power would be our key to victory, but I was sleep deprived and got the team for Secret Power instead. That's okay, I don't normally use this move, but it might still have a use here. Eventually I got Hidden Power, and after a few random wild Pokemon battles, I can safely say that this Duskull's Hidden Power type is Water. Not exactly useful, and I'm not sure if it will be helpful in later battles as well. Well, Secret Power does have 70 base power, which is much better than Pursuit, so let's go with this move. Also, I use this move so little in my playthroughs that I just discovered it can cause paralysis to our opponents due to the environment we will be battling in. That could be very useful. One more thing I did before I got back into battling our dad is I went through the trouble of getting some Chesto berries. I gave one to Torchwood so we could easily wake up after the first yawn. Are these changes enough for us to get the 5th gym badge? Well, Secret Power is hitting much harder than Pursuit ever would, and it's nice to shake off the sleep status right away with our berry, but we fall asleep pretty soon after from another yawn. The Hyper Potion usage is annoying, but we do take care of the first Slacking. However, we are often asleep by the time Vigoroth comes out, which means it just beats the crap out of us with Feint Attack over and over and over again. So yeah, we go down easily from there, and I give this battle a second attempt, and with us getting the same result, we have no choice but to grind. So, looking at level 50, and geez, our special attack and speed are horrible. Really, this is what's holding us back. Well, to be fair, all of our attacks are physical, so it's this lackluster attack stat that's also holding us back. Defenses are looking pretty good though, but still, after a while, we'll get hit enough to go down anyway, so you can only brag so much about good defense. We need to switch gears and start working on the offense. At level 50, there is really only one good takeaway. We beat Vigoroth, and we can now face the second Slacking. But other than that, there's nothing else to brag about here because this Slacking is much stronger than the first one, and we're already beaten up by the time we see it. I don't bother trying to burn it with Will-O-Wisp since we need to start the exchange swinging right out of the gate. Besides, maybe if we're lucky we can paralyze it with Secret Power? That never happens after several attempts, so we need to go back to the drawing board now. I really don't want to grind anymore. I was already tired from another late night game session. I was fighting cold, different one than the one I mentioned in my Eevee team challenge, and I'm still kind of going through it right now recording if you can't quite tell. And I had just spent so much time grinding already this evening. I'm behind schedule getting this video done so it can premiere on Halloween. So I normally don't do this, but we have 10 rare candies saved up from our Zigzagoons that we're going to use right now. I normally save these for essentially the end game, when we get stuck between battles of Elite 4, and I don't want to quit and grind to get back to where we were. But right now, we've done a lot of grinding and we haven't made any improvements. I was so desperate to get this win here, so I used up 10 of the 11 rare candies I had, and we were beating this battle at level 60. And we are still losing. But things are looking much more hopeful. For starters, it's not all the time, but Secret Power is in damage range to take Vigoroth out in 2 turns, and that helps us tremendously in avoiding a lot of damage. But the second Slacking is preventing us from getting the win due to us bringing it to low health, and Norman healing it up before we can finally take it out for good. It gets multiple heal ups in this battle, and that really drags the fight out. So much that we take more hits as we try to lower its health, and we can't outlast these heal ups, so we end up going down instead. But we persevere. Also, this happened at the early levels too, but we had an attempt where we burned Slacking with Will-O-Wisp, and then Slacking hits us with Encore, so we spent multiple battles trying to burn an already burned Slacking while it just spammed Feint Attack whenever it could attack, and we went down. That is a really annoying way to lose the battle. Okay, so back to the start of the battle. It's the same start as always. We take a Feint Attack and then burn Slacking with Will-O-Wisp. From there, we're spamming Secret Power, and we soon get hit by Yawn. Slacking soon gets red health, and the burn damage that's tacked on is just enough additional damage to knock Slacking out before our dad can heal it up. Vigoroth hits us with a feint attack, but we're still looking good in the green, and our first secret power takes it to half health and paralyzes it. Nice. Another one takes it out, so we're still in the green, and this is the best spot we've ever been when it comes to battling the second Slaking. Well, his feint attack brings us to yellow, but our second secret power brings it to yellow health and paralyzes it. The only problem is our next secret power brings it down to what has to be 1 HP, so here comes a Hyper Potion. Good thing is, Slaking is paralyzed and can only attack every other turn, so we're doing a better job spamming our attacks now. We get Slaking back to red health, and that means another Hyper Potion. But we're sticking with spamming our go-to attack, and we get Slaking to fall to red health for the third time. Norman doesn't have any more Hyper Potions, so this should be the finishing blow. Really? With the slack off? Well, Slaking gets a heal up, but it's not at full health. One secret power gets it to yellow, Slaking floats around for a turn, and then one more secret power finally gives us the win. This has been the biggest hurdle we've had so far in the game. But the great thing is, this is a major turning point in the storyline, and it really opens up the rest of the game for us. Now we have the Surf HM, and we can use it. Now, you'd think I'd be headed straight to Fort Tree City here, but I actually take a slight detour. I go to the abandoned ship to get the TM for Ice Beam. I've been eyeing this move ever since we started this challenge, and it would be really useful against Wynona's flying types in the next gym. But I don't teach it to Torchwood right when we get it. I wasn't expecting our special attack stat to be as bad as it's been so far in this challenge. I knew it was going to be low, but I didn't think it was going to be this low. Besides, as we make our way to the Weather Institute and Fort Tree City, Secret Power becomes our main go-to move instead of Nightshade. Now, don't get me wrong, Nightshade is still being used and it's still pulling some weight, but Secret Power is helping a lot here. And yes, I am battling every trainer we see because I just have to admit that we are always going to need a level lead in this challenge if we want to win. Also, no one has given us issues like Norman did, so for the first time ever, we are really feeling overpowered here due to all the one-shots we deal against our opponents. I'm going to keep Ice Beam in our back pocket in case we need it, but we're going to try facing Wynonna with this current moveset first and see how we really fare. But first, just to cover the material we always cover in these challenges, the Weather Institute portion, battling Team Magma, went really well, continuing our trend of overpowering everyone and no one really beat us up too badly. From there we move on to another rival battle. This one is by far the easiest rival battle we've had in this challenge. Secret Power is still paving the way to victory for us. It one-shots Shroomish and Numel easily, Marshtomp survives but it goes down on the second turn. Now we just need to see how we do against Wynonna at the Flying Gym. Secret Power has to be used against Swallow since it is part normal type. Aerial Ace barely does anything to us, and since we paralyzed Swallow on our first turn, we are faster than it. We could have knocked it out, but Wynonna is already breaking out the Hyper Potions. It's okay though, because we can now rapid fire 2 secret powers for the easy knockout. Pelipper can be subjected to Nightshade, so we use that. It does a lot of damage, and if Pelipper Supersonic misses, so we bring down another one of Wynonna's birds on the next turn. Nightshade is still a solid option against Skarmory. We take a Steel Wing and bring it down on the next turn. Altaria is last out, and it immediately paralyzes us with Dragon Breath. Secret Power brings it a little below half health, but we fail to attack on the next turn due to our status condition. But next turn gives us the opportunity to hit, and that means we get the 6th badge of the game on the first try. We keep moving on since we've got progress to make. I battle every trainer as we head south, heal up, and go to Mount Pyre. We do battle Team Magma Grunts here to move the storyline along, but before heading back to Lily Cove, I make a detour heading deeper into Mount Pyre Cemetery so we can get the TM for Shadow Ball. This is a must-have for this challenge. This is basically the only stab ghost move we can have in the game. That being said, I'm not going to teach it to Torchwood right away. This move is probably going to replace Nightshade, and at the moment I can't bring myself to give up that move just yet. It's useful to have a set damage move that isn't affected by stat debuffs, but at the same time, Shadow Ball will more often than not be harder hitting than Nightshade, and we do need a good stab move as we approach the end of the game. I'm going to give some more thought to when we finally break out this move. But for now, we have our last rival battle of the game, and like most challenges, this battle isn't too different from the rival battle outside of the Weather Institute. She has a Swallow now, but we take care of it pretty easily with Secret Power. We should have used that move for Shroomish too, since I'm pretty sure it would have one-shot it. Instead, we use Nightshade, which it survives, and then it leech seats us. Great. We take it out on the next turn. We just have to deal with losing a little bit of health each turn for the remainder of the battle. Secret Power does one-shot Numel, and then comes out Marshtomp. Stick with that move, and it takes it out in 2 turns. We reach level 70 and take care of my least favorite part of the game, which is backtracking to Slateport just to have the cutscene of Team Magma stealing the submarine and then heading back to Lily Cove to actually fight them in their lair. Battling the grunts here is honestly a great way to get experience, but I'm ready to move on and get the rest of our gym badges so we can really progress in this challenge. We have Tay and Liza next when it comes to getting our badges, and this should be one of the easier battles due to being a ghost type. But we all know that in this challenge, anything I think is going to be easy will most likely end up being an extremely difficult portion of the game. Well, the first battle, I forgot to catch a Magikarp for this double battle, so instead we have one of my Zigzagoons take its place. I'm sure it would faint on next turn, but I feel like this still isn't fair to the challenge, so let's catch a Magikarp real quick. It's weird because I knew this was going to be a double battle, obviously, but it didn't dawn on me that I still needed a Magikarp for this battle until we actually started. But yeah, this battle is really easy once we have Magikarp. It goes down immediately from Solrock's Flamethrower, which we one-shot with Shadow Ball. Oh yeah, I did come to the conclusion that Nightshade had basically reached its course. Still dealing sizable damage, but we need a stab move that we know is going to hit harder, and Shadow Ball is the only option in that category. Back to this battle, and we are asleep thanks to Lunatone's Hypnosis. While we are unconscious, it raises its special stats with Calm Mind and deals damage to us with Psychic. We do wake up soon after, and Shadow Ball is still the way to go. It deals another one-shot. From there, we only have one more badge left to get in the game. But we still have to wrap up the whole plotline with Team Magma, so let's have our final battle with Maxie first. This battle actually took 3 attempts due to having some bad confusion damage luck thanks to Mighty and his swagger, and Crobat also took care of us pretty well with Bite. We had some bad flinch luck here with that move. On the 3rd attempt, we still get confused by Swagger, but I came prepared by giving Torchwood a Person Berry before the battle, so we shake off the confusion as soon as it lands. But I think if I remember right, we still get to keep the attack buff. I'm not really sure if that's true, someone else needs to look that up. Secret Power looks really strong here, but Maxie negates some of that with a Super Potion. Another Secret Power, and I thought we knocked Mightyena out, but it's still standing. Look, I don't even see a red pixel in that health bar, do you? Well, now we are confused again by Swagger. We're going to have to ride this one out. But we're still able to use one Secret Power to bring down Mightyena. Crobat is next, which means Bite, which means we flinch on the first turn of this exchange. We don't flinch on the second one, and we also snap out of our confusion, which means we should be able to attack right now. We go with Shadow Ball for the one-shot. First time seeing camera up here, but it is very short-lived as we also one-shot it with Shadow Ball. With that taken care of, we can focus on getting the last gym badge of the game. I think a win here is doable. We do not have an advantage against Wallace's water types, but Secret Power and Shadow Ball have really been bringing the heat in the previous sections of battles we've had. And sure, it might be because we are way more of a level than the opponents we've been facing, but right now I think we have everything we need to get this gym badge. Love Disc is bringing back all the confusion fun we had with Maxie thanks to her Water Pulse. This might be annoying, but at least we know our special defense is pretty good. That Water Pulse was a critical hit, and look how little damage it actually did. Shadow Ball continues its trend of dealing one-shots, so next we have to face Whiscash. It starts its part of the battle by using Amnesia, and we hurt ourselves in confusion right after. We do get Shadow Ball to land on the next turn, but not before Whiscash sets up a Rain Dance. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, but before this battle I did go through all the trouble of getting the Shell Bell. Now this challenge isn't the best setup for this item since the healing from it is based on how much damage we deal that turn, and our attack stats are not going to be supporting us dealing maximum damage. But I will take any form of healing I can get in this game. Anyway, 2 Shadow Balls brings down Whiscash, and we move on to Celio. We immediately snap out of confusion, and Shadow Ball brings Celio into the red. We take another Water Pulse, but no confusion this time, so that's good. Wallace heals Celio up with a Hyper Potion, and our Secret Power brings it to half health. I then switch over to Will-O-Wisp, thinking the extra burn damage would ensure that we bring Celio down on the next attacking move, but it misses and we take another Water Pulse. Next attempt at Will-O-Wisp lands, and from there we use one more Secret Power for the knockout. Seaking follows, faster than us, and dealing another Water Pulse. Shadow Ball hits much harder with Seaking in the red until Wallace breaks out another Hyper Potion. Secret Power takes Seaking to half health and paralyzes it, leading to a rapid Shadow Ball release to take Seaking down. Last out is Melodic, and I play it safe by using Will-O-Wisp. I really think we need to have the additional burn damage to add up at the end of each turn. We take Ice Beam well enough, and then switch to our own offensive with Shadow Ball. Since Melodic can't take us out quickly, we are able to take it out the next turn. Phew. Well, the last 3 gym badges were easy, so we can quickly wrap up the badge run. It really helps us progress through the game and catch up because I am going to be honest, I'm still pretty behind schedule if I want this video to premiere on Halloween. But, can't be too hasty going through Victory Road. We're still battling every trainer we come across since we need to maintain this level lead. And there's some jump in levels coming up. Like some other Generation 3 challenges I've done in the past, this trial against Elite 4 will be really difficult at the front and more manageable on the back half. I mean, our first opponent is Sydney, whose focus is all about dark types, and he will start the battle with a good old-fashioned Mightyena that has the Intimidate ability. We need a level lead so we can hit hard enough to bring down his team fast. Can take some hits, but not a lot, and they'll be hitting with their dark moves here. We get past Sydney, and then we have to shift our focus to Phoebe. This battle is kind of hard to gauge. Ghosts are weak to ghost type attacks, so both parties have the same advantage. Normally in this situation, the faster Pokemon comes out on top since they get to shoot first. And it's no secret that we are painfully slow, but again, this is why we're so focused on a level lead, since that's the only way we can consistently outspeed certain Pokemon. Glacia is hard to gauge because we have no advantage, and we'll just need to jump into that battle to see how things truly go. But at least we can feel really confident about Drake, considering we have a decent ice move, and even some members of his team are 4 times weak to ice. Steven is going to be a problem, just know it. We have answers to some of the problems he'll throw at us, but he will still be a big challenge. We're going to jump into the last major part of this challenge soon, but first we need to battle Wally real quick. And embarrassingly, we lose to him again here. But this time, it's because we really only have 2 attacking moves in our moveset at the moment, so it shouldn't be a surprise that we run out of power points for those moves before getting into this battle. Let's give this battle another go, but this time we have power points to actually win. We do a lot of damage to Altaria by a Shadow Ball, and we take its Aerial Ace really well. Wally is already using a Super Potion at this point in the battle. Another Shadow Ball causes a knockout. Delcatty follows, so Shadow Ball is off the table, but Secret Power is also putting in the work. Plus it leads to a flinch, so Delcatty is out of the battle in no time. Roselia follows, so we switch back to Shadow Ball for an easy one-shot. Magneton is a little tricky, it takes Shadow Ball better than the rest of the team, it confuses us with Supersonic and gets a Super Potion, but we soon snap out of confusion, change gears by burning our opponent with Will-O-Wisp, and we get hit by a Thunderbolt and then get a lucky break by landing a critical hit Shadow Ball. So now we just have to deal with Gardevoir. It's faster and sets up a Calm Mind, but our Ghost attack is physical, so that special defense buff isn't going to help it against our Shadow Ball that seals the deal as a one-shot win. Okay, that's some better momentum. I am almost ready to get started battling the Elite 4, but before I do, I spent some extra time at Victory Road grinding Torchwood up, so we'll be starting these battles at a nice round level 80. Look, we'll need these levels, okay? If you think I'm over leveled, then you really didn't watch the earlier parts of this challenge. At least our attack stat is in the triple digits now, but that took a little less than 75 level ups for us to see that stat reach that level. Defense looks really good, and special defense is looking really decent too. Sure, the speed is nice, but realistically, we all know it is truly terrible for a Pokemon at this level. And I'm glad that Generation 3 is weird in making Ghost a physical type because our special attack is no bueno. I'm going to be honest, I'm not feeling great about these upcoming series of battles, but this is a good spot to dive in and see how things really shake out. Let's see how bad things really go with Sydney. Okay, well, we got pretty far, all things considered. I mean, we lost due to being outsped by Absol as soon as it comes out. We were at low health anyway, so of course we weren't going to survive its Aerial Ace, but we held our own through the majority of Sydney's party. We got our attack and accuracy lowered by Mightyena, but we also paralyzed it with Secret Power. Cacturn, we got a lucky one-shot critical hit to take it out. The Sharpedo did beat us up pretty good, but we got good confusion luck after getting hit by Swagger. Since our attack stat was heightened, we still came out on top. Of course, on the next attempt, we didn't even beat Mightyena, so it's actually harder than I thought to gauge how we are looking in this battle. Well, we have collected more rare candies after we used up almost all of the ones we had in order to beat Norman. Let's revisit this battle at level 85 and see if things actually improve. We are hitting a little harder, but we are not taking out our opponents in 2 or fewer hits, which means we are still taking a lot of hits in the process of knocking out this team. The Shell Bell only heals so much, and in this specific battle, Cacturn sticks us with Leech Seed, which kinda negates the Shell Bell anyway. So back to the drawing board. Well, I felt like I was going to need this later on in the Elite Four series, but I think we need to just go ahead and give Torchwood the move Ice Beam. This should speed up the portion of the battle where we are going against the grass types. It helps the next battle, but we still faint while fighting Absol. So, we use up another 3 rare candies, and we're back at it against Sydney. Attack drop from Intimidate like always, followed by the usual accuracy drop from Sand Attack. I wish Secret Power was hitting harder, but I'll take what I can get. It takes a while to bring my Nina down, and we are now in yellow health ourselves, but we are moving on. Cacturn is easy to take care of due to Ice Beam easily dealing the one-shot. Even better is we are back to green health thanks to our Shell Bell. And we are back to having a normal attack stat thanks to Sharpedo using Swagger as its opening move. Things continue to improve for us, we avoid confusion damage, and Secret Power connects as a critical hit one-shot. More healing, and we are in a much better spot against Absol compared to our previous attempts. Absol does snatch, and we snap out of confusion. Secret Power unfortunately misses, and I am getting nervous since Absol is using Sword Dance to raise its attack stat. I'm more worried about when it's going to switch to the offensive. Can we please just get Secret Power to land? Absol finally attacks, and its Aerial Ace is a little scary. We get hit by that move twice and only have 17 health remaining. We finally get Secret Power to land, and Swagger really saved us here since our attack stat almost one-shots Absol. Better yet, we paralyzes it. Because of that, they're now faster, so long as we can land another attack. Fortunately, we do, which means for the first time in this challenge, we are facing Shiftry. But there's not much to report here since Ice Beam one-shots it. I knew this was going to be a really tough part of the game, and I wasn't expecting this to be a first try victory, but I'm concerned about how many changes we had to make to get this win. I hope this isn't a sign of things to come. Well, we are facing Phoebe next. That was the other battle I was worried about. I know we are slower, but I think we can survive her ghost type attacks well enough that we can still pull through with Shadow Ball. Let's see if I'm right. Well, just like our battles with Sydney, we are doing a good job working through a team, but we still lose on the first few attempts. For starters, getting poisoned by Toxic or burned by Will-O-Wisp is a death sentence in these battles, and Sableye is a problem since it technically doesn't have a weakness, and it's given us a taste of our own medicine by hitting us with Shadow Ball. Despite a couple of losses, I think a win is closer here than it was against Sydney. Duskull is slower and easy to one-shot with Shadow Ball. Bayonet is faster than us though, but its Will-O-Wisp misses so we can take it down with another Shadow Ball. And we're not burned, so we're actually looking pretty good. Another Bayonet, another one that we're slower than. Actually, it gets its Dash Condition move to land. Great, now we are Toxic poisoned for the rest of the battle. We do knock out the second Bayonet out just like Phoebe's previous 2 Pokemon, but we have to work faster if we want to win. Well, the second Duskull is also slower than us, which means we take it out quickly, limiting the poison damage. Now we just need to take Sableye out quickly for the win. We play safe, burning Sableye with Will-O-Wisp. Its Shadow Ball causes a little bit of concern, but it doesn't hit anywhere near as hard as ours. I wasn't expecting it to take Sableye out that easily, but I'll take it, considering we were badly poisoned and we had to do so many battles against Sydney. I will take any easy quick battle I can get. Glacia is hard to gauge for this challenge. I'm not sure if we're hitting hard enough to put her team away quickly, but surely we're faster than her team, and that should help, right? Well, Glalie is actually faster than us, believe it or not, and this thing has Crunch too. I completely forgot about that. Shadow Ball is working really well, and we knock out the first Glalie, but the second one comes out, and Glacia sticks with her spamming Crunch strategy, which is working really well, stacking up damage, and the Shell Bell cannot keep up. So we go down from here. Second attempt went better-ish. We got past 2 Glalies, but Celio takes us out almost immediately as soon as it comes out. And a couple battles later, we got all the way to Glacia's Ace, Walrein. But we are again really beaten up faint easily here. Well, that's progress, but it doesn't quite spell victory being right around the corner. So we take this loss and go back to grinding that victory road. Now we're back to battling Glacia at level 92. Glalie isn't spamming Crunch here, it sets up a Hail instead, which is annoying, but Shell Bell should cancel out the extra damage. Shadow Ball is still the way to go to deal major damage, but we switched to Secret Power to knock out the first Glalie. We do take a hit from its crunch, but we are still in the green. It does a very similar story with the second Glalie, but we're in the yellow by the time it goes down, and we really need Hail to stop so our Shell Bell can heal us up more. We get a lucky break with Shadow Ball delivering a critical hit one-shot on Celio. Don't get that kind of luck with the second Celio, so we take a Blizzard. I am so thankful we are still in the yellow after that move hits. Secret Power removes the second Celio. Do we really have enough health to finally beat Walrein? This thing is still faster than us, and we got pretty lucky with Blizzard missing. No wait, we got really lucky with Blizzard missing and Shadow Ball delivering another critical hit one-shot to luckily beat Walrein and ultimately Glacia. Well, that part of the Elite Four was more of a hindrance than scary, but we now just have 2 battles left in this challenge. I think Drake is going to be the one Elite Four member that's a cakewalk, thanks to Ice Beam. And for once in this challenge, I was right. Ice Beam just destroys his whole team. We do take some damage, but that's because we're still slower than members of his team, but yeah, this is definitely the easiest battle here in the endgame. Which means Steven is all we have left, and this is not going to be fun. Guys, I gave it so many attempts. So many attempts that I had this battle down to a science, but repeating the same action and expecting a different result is insanity. So obviously, my current battle plan is not working. For Skarmory, we first burn it with Will-O-Wisp, and then we spam Ice Beam until it goes down. I instantly reset the battle if this thing uses Toxic, because, come on guys, that's an obvious loss. Credilli is easy to beat with Ice Beam, but it's really annoying if it uses Confuse Ray or Leech Seed. In the end, we always bring it down. Claydol is easy to bring down with Shadow Ball, but it is faster and will 9 times out of 10 either set up Reflect or Light Screen, both of which are annoying since we are relying on either physical or special attack spamming for certain members of Steven's team later on. Claydol might attack us with Ancient Power, but we always bring it down, in 2 moves consistently. Where we really start having problems is Aggron. We repeat our strategy for Skarmory, we burn it with Will-O-Wisp, and then spam Ice Beam. Meanwhile, this thing is spamming Thunder for the most part. Sure, it doesn't hurt a whole bunch, but we cannot get past this exchange without getting paralyzed. The status condition doesn't usually prevent us from beating it, but it spells our end in this battle down the road. After Aggron, we face Armaldo, and its Ancient Power can knock us out, but sometimes Shadow Ball is enough for us to bring it down, which means we just have to deal with Metagross, but we are in no shape to take this thing off. Meteor Mash and Psychic easily remove the rest of our health every single time. We tried this at level 95, we got the same results. We tried this at level 100, and you guessed it, we got the same results. We do get in better spots when it comes to facing Metagross, but Shadow Ball is a little underpowered for us to 2-shot it, and Meteor Mash isn't missing enough for us to beat this thing. At first, I thought this challenge was actually done for. Then I had a late night revelation that might save it. I felt like we could win this battle if we could just beat Aggron without getting paralyzed along the way. We need a stronger attacking move, and I think I found our solution. So I backtrack to Lake Cove and get the TM for Blizzard. I knew there was a risk, 70% accuracy isn't great in a Pokemon game, but if it landed, it should hit harder than Ice Beam. Well, it was a nice idea, but we were still getting paralyzed. Blizzard hits harder, yes, but it wasn't enough to take Aggron down faster. After 2 nights and countless attempts, I had to admit it. No, at this current point, we cannot beat Pokemon Ruby with a single Duskull. Honestly, I did not think Duskull would underperform this badly. But, fear not. On this Halloween night, I still have a way to end the video with a win. It's a potential hollow half victory, but we can beat Steven if we evolve Torchwood into a Dusclops. Before jumping in, let's compare the stats. With this evolution, HP jumps by almost 40 points, attack and defense each increase by around 70, special attack rises by 50, special defense jumps roughly 80 points, and speed stays exactly the same. Whatever. We're going in with Dusclops at level 98, and we're actually going to keep Ice Beam in the moveset instead of Blizzard because I want the accuracy over the raw power. We skip Will-O-Wisp and Skarmory and go straight on the offensive with Ice Beam. It hits much harder, but Steven doesn't heal, so we take it out in 2 turns. Really is easy to finish off with Ice Beam. Don't think the critical hit was even necessary. Claydol is also manageable. No Reflect this time. Instead, it uses Earthquake. Good luck with that hit. Oh right, we no longer have Levitate, but we do handle that attack just fine. Claydol can't stand Shadow Ball. Now we come to the dreaded Aggron. Ice Beam doesn't even bring it to half health. Will-O-Wisp is still necessary here. No Thunder this time though. Aggron is using Earthquake. We burn it, take a weakened Earthquake, and almost knock it out with Ice Beam. Oh, Steven doesn't heal Aggron. I was not expecting that. Instead, we get hit by Thunder, not get paralyzed, and the burn damage finishes it off. Armalda comes out and is knocked out with one Shadow Ball. We get a little bit more healing from Shell Bell, and now we are in the best spot we've ever been against Metagross. Meteor Mash is less scary, especially with Metagross already being burned. Shadow Ball hits so much harder now with our evolution. Burn damage even cancels out some of Metagross's berry healing. We handle a Sidekick attack well, and one more Shadow Ball finally wraps up this challenge. Now, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy this challenge, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't one of the most frustrating challenges I've ever done. I've always liked the Duskull and I thought it was a cool looking Pokemon, but jeez is it weak. Its defensive stats were amazing, but that was the only thing keeping it alive in this challenge. Its pitiful attack and speed stats hurt us so much during gameplay. It had a solid moveset when it came to the addition of TMs, and it's clear Game Freak expected you to evolve Duskull as soon as possible because Dusclops has a lot more going for it, except for speed. Then again, every Pokemon has its weakness. I hope you guys enjoyed this challenge. I have more challenges lined up that I'm currently working on, but I had to focus on this one to meet our holiday deadline. This was a real time crunch, and we were kind of really close. If you want to see more Halloween themed challenges, I also have a Ghastly in Fire Red challenge and a Mischievous in Silver challenge video as well, so you check those out. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe for updates, leave comments about what you enjoyed and what challenges you would like to see in the future, and any suggestions for improving these videos. I always appreciate creative input. Thanks for watching everyone, and until next time, Geronimo. Oh, and happy Halloween.